Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Week technically 15, I think, but there's only one game. Lots to talk about today with myself, David Quist, and my lovely co-host KB Kirk Brown. How you doing there, bud? Out in Phoenix these days.
We're doing great, enjoying the nice weather while everyone else is kind of freezing their
It's
butts off.
45
Although I
today.
guess, yeah, I was gonna say I guess the weather kind of giving you false hope for a
Global
few
warming.
weeks. Yeah, but outside of that, and enjoying the time off, less focused on kind of games this week, more all of college football talk, kind of all the craziness that's going on, and happy to jump into it.
Yeah, me too. We'll start with the game. Big game. This is America's game. 3 o'clock kick on CBS. Army Navy playing in Gillette. Usually they play at Lincoln Financial or wherever it's called now for Philly. So a little bit different spot, I guess, for this game. Obviously, neutral site game. Every year, fun fact, or usually every year, I didn't last year, but I buy an Army hoodie or a shirt. This year, I'm not wearing it. This is from, I believe, 2019. I think this is one of the Cavalry shirts. I got the one from 2 or 3 years ago where it was Desert Storm, and then this year is guys from, I think for Army it's Operation Enduring Freedom in Iraq, and the Navy uniforms are more like a submarine. Pretty cool. Always a great uniform game. I'll probably rock my Army shirt tomorrow. Shout out my brother for serving, and everybody else who served. This is always just a fun game. This is a triple option running game. Nobody else, I saw somebody tweet that there's no college football on, and I was like, you got to respect the Army Navy game. I think it's a fun game to watch. You know what's happening. It's going to be low scoring. Bet the under, like I've said all year on Academy games. It's a toss-up game for fun. The spread is currently -3 for the Black Knights of Army, who beat Air Force. They're also rolling. I think they've won the last 3 out of 4 or something like that. Navy's been meh. Um, Go Army, beat Navy for me. I got Army in this one. They won last year as well. It's a good back and forth game. I think, like I said, Army's been rolling. They also beat Air Force, who was really good at the time. Still a solid team in my opinion. I'd like to see Army win this one and get the Commander in Chief trophy for the next year or so.
So one of the things before we kind of get into it, from my opinion, obviously a lot of what you said. Longtime Navy coach was shipped out this past
Where's he?
off
Do you know where he
season.
is now?
I do not, but I can
I
quick
can
look
look it
that
up.
up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but do either of these teams make a bowl? Because they're both 5-6,
I
and
think one of them is already in a bowl.
so because that's weird. Like I feel like the playoff committee, like this game needs to be moved up a weekend
It
because
is
it
kind
like
of
doesn't
weird.
make sense. Because if they haven't like either of these teams could qualify for a bowl. I don't know if either of them are. But I was just trying to quick look, and I was like, I don't think Navy or Army are in a bowl. They're both 5-6.
To
But this is
interrupt,
yeah,
the
yeah.
old coach Ken Nio Matualolo is the director of leadership at UCLA.
Gotcha. Yeah, so good deal for him. He was their longtime coach. I don't know. I know they had two really bad seasons, but it was following 2020, and that's kind of a weird spot to be put in for Army and Navy because it's like who's gonna want to like be recruited after like having all of your high school kind of taken away from you. Like you're not gonna want to go be like in a super serious environment, especially if you're playing football. You're gonna want to go be a college kid because you lost the last 2 years of your high school experience. So I think that's part of the reason why Navy's been a really solid program, a few 11-win seasons, and they fired their coach. But a decent season out of them. I think we're gonna see a lot of punts. We're gonna see triple option. This game's always fun because they save some of their trick plays. It's a huge rivalry game,
Yeah.
and I just overall I really enjoy the atmosphere of this game. I enjoy kind of everything it's about. I think we do appreciate our troops, and we do have like a good understanding of our troops in America. We go out of our way. We sing the national anthem before every game, and this is one of the ways where they get to be made special this weekend. Almost none of these guys are going to be playing professional football.
Hardly
It's
not.
kind of one of the one times that you're going back down to your roots, right? These guys are becoming officers. They can't redshirt. They're not COVID fifth and sixth year senior, which I think is also an implication on them because they don't get the 6th year guy, and they can't really take transfers. But overall, super fun game. Expect some, like you said, the under low scoring.
14 to
But
10, 17 to 14. Neither team looks like they're in a bowl game. I just looked up the Military Bowl, which usually one team gets like an auto bid. Neither team was there, so if somebody's heard a noise. I tried to do a find Army Navy. So I'm assuming Air Force is in a bowl game, but yeah, neither of these teams are going somehow. But they're both. Air Force plays JMU in the Armed Forces Bowl, so maybe one of the three teams gets a bid to the Armed Forces Bowl or something like that. But camera doesn't want to focus. But yeah, neither of these teams is going to a bowl game. It looks like.
Yeah, I think that sucks just because like selection. It does mean that JMU and Jacksonville State got in, which I think are more deserving, but it just sucks for the players that it kind of comes down this weekend and they got to win six before then. But you're really looking at the running attack. You're gonna look at Fafana. You're gonna look at they kind of have a large Hawaiian influence. American Samoa and Hawaii are huge on the Navy side, at least. Obviously because of Pearl Harbor and all the implications with that. You definitely have some pride over there. And then on the Army side, it's going to look completely different. A lot of Jacks and Ryans and maybe Heralds. But it's a fun matchup. I don't know much more. I haven't watched these teams super in depth. They're both pretty mid teams, but I'm excited for the game. Gonna have plenty of time to sit down and watch. I'm finally not doing something over the course of a weekend and don't have people
Nice.
here, so I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I love this game. It's just something, you got to cherish it. It's old school football. Like you said, these guys are, going to go serve the country, and they're obviously very smart. Not easy to get into in a military academy. If you want to watch any documentaries or like how they eat in mess halls, I saw some stuff on YouTube a while ago. It's really interesting how they do stuff and how the freshmen or the plebes go through everything. And like if you think about it, these teams only practice probably half, maybe a little bit more than half of most teams. So you got to respect what they're doing. I know LSU beat the shit out of Army, but like I know I saw a video where like Jaden Daniels and the team like did the alma mater, which is with Army, which is cool. And then the winning team always does their alma mater second, and then you watch the losing team will do their alma mater first, and both teams kind of come together. So it is cool to see. Just a fun game. It's a great uniform matchup. So make sure to watch it and to support these guys. It's fun. Shout out to my brother again. I gotta say, go Army, beat Navy, and looking forward to it. I think Army wins a close one, 14 to 10, 17 to 14. The under is 27 and a half, which is super fun. I'm still probably gonna bet it. I think I will bet it. Maybe I'll parlay it with Army, but just a fun game to watch. 3 o'clock kick up in Gillette. I think it'll actually be a nice day, be like 50 degrees up in New England. So it should be a good fun game. I do like when it snows in this game as well, but it's not going to happen this year. Any other thoughts on this game, KB, before we talk about all the craziness going on?
Nope. I'll pick Navy though. I have a lot of family members that served in the Navy. A lot on my mom's side of the family, and then a few others. But shout out to all the troops. Thank you guys so much for serving. Make our lives a lot easier.
Yes.
Screw the politicians for sending those people into maybe places they shouldn't be and risking their lives because they're not their kids, because their kids are sitting in offices somewhere in America. But that's neither here nor there, and appreciate everything they do for us. So
Ditto. Everything's the same. Yeah, I can't say it thanks enough. And if you ever see anybody, tell them thank you for serving. If you see a Vietnam vet, say welcome home. And, do the right thing and respect them, because without them, we wouldn't be here today. Um, but enough of that game, which we're looking forward to. We're going to jump into college football playoff. I know we had a TikTok kind of go crazy, over 100 comments on it. I had to bring it up. I think a lot of people misunderstood my friend here because they were just saying that he was a salty Michigan fan when he was just trying to defend Florida State, which I would 1,000% agree with. I think after sitting on it for a week, I think we got the best matchups. But at the end of the day, I still think Florida State should be in. I think they did everything they were supposed to do. This was bound to happen with the CFP. 4 teams win 5 power conferences. What a fucking great idea. I mean, just genius on these people. It should have been more than 4 from the get-go. Just pure. It's just dumb. It's idiotic. Finally, we're getting a change next year. I think, college football going forward on a side tangent, for just a thought, college football is going to be weird next year. It's going to be different. I'm looking forward to it. The portal, NIL, expanded playoff, different conferences, teams just moving around. It's going to be different, and I'm looking forward to it. But, I kind of miss the BCS right now, if I'm being honest, because the BCS in its prime was really good, and now we have this, and we're all bitching and moaning. So it is what it is. I had to bring up the TikTok, KB. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on the weeks thus far? I know there's probably been a lot of thinking and a lot of reading for both of us.
yeah, I mean the TikTok was funny. I mean I think people saw the first part that said I'm pissed, like this is ridiculous. They put Alabama in, and everyone interpreted that into I don't want to play Alabama. I literally said I think we should have gotten Texas. FSU should have been in that spot. But it's TikTok. I don't expect people to have engagement
People are
more than like
smart.
8 seconds. And it's not to them. But yeah, I thought FSU not being in was kind of a crappy decision. Oh, I love it. I love you shaker jar or shaker
Yes.
mug. But I think another thing too, and I was rethinking about this, and I was talking to our good friend Promo Guy, and then our boy Jeff. Shout out to Texas A&M and M and the new coach and everything over there. But I was bringing up, I was like, they had to piss someone off. Like one fan base was going to be pissed off. I mean, because here's the thing too, Georgia has a good claim to be like, we're the number one team all year.
Yeah.
We lose at a neutral site on 3 with some controversial calls. You didn't get mopped up and down the field, and that happened. And it was kind of like, oh well, here's this and that. So I mean, they have a claim almost. But at the end of the day, you had to kick one of these teams out. Texas, if they didn't get in, they're going to be like, but we beat Alabama. We went into their place and won by double digits. If Alabama doesn't get in, they're like, we're the SEC champs. We just beat the number one team in the country. FSU doesn't get in, it's like, we're 13-0. We didn't lose. And it came down to two things. One, they have to, like, the ESPN is in cahoots. And when I mean
They
in
are.
cahoots, they're in a business
Absolutely.
deal with the SEC. And it's not a conspiracy. Like, they have to protect their brand. The SEC is an asset. It's an asset that they manage through TV right deals, and they have to protect it. And so I'm not saying that Alabama is one of the 4 best teams. I'm not saying they're not going to compete with Michigan. I mean, it's a 1.5 point favorite, one down to a 1 point favorite or whatever. It's going to be a great game. But FSU not getting in as a result of we can't piss off people that we're working with, and ESPN is also owns part of ACC, but way less revenue, way less money generated. And Texas, right, is we can't leave Texas out because they're going to be in there next year. So I really think that's what it came down to. They had to piss one off, and they're going to get less flack, hear less from FSU. Some of the implications are I know there's a meeting with FSU and all the chancellors to maybe dissolve the ACC, so maybe seeing more
What?
with all the
The
if you
big
win your
the big
conference and
two.
go
The big two are
yeah,
coming.
I mean
It's the
if
Big
you
Ten
win
and the
your
SEC. It's
well,
coming.
it'll be the Big 12 too. One of the things that I've heard is the Big
Ah.
12 trying to expand east because they already have some East Coast teams. I mean, if they add Miami, Florida,
The Big
Clemson,
12 is not.
Miami,
They
Florida State,
lost their big
Clemson,
brands.
yeah, and they'd add Miami, Florida State, Clemson. That would help
That would
replace some of
help.
those big
Yeah,
brands.
yeah, yeah.
But if you win your conference and go undefeated and you can't earn a bid to the college football playoff, what's the point? What is the reason for being in the
Well,
conference? What's
everything's
the
going to
reason for
change
having
next
it?
year, so there's
So
no reason, in my opinion, to do that. Because next year, you're going to get a chance regardless if you're a top team. If you lose 1 or 2 games, you should probably be there. I don't think dissolving the ACC is going to fix that now that we're expanding.
yeah, but now they're implying this forward. A 2-loss SEC team is going to be favored over a 1-loss ACC team.
Pretty
So
much.
they're going to get a harder matchup earlier in the rankings.
True.
And here's the thing too, all that implies more money. So the SEC, I think they generate the most money and they have the largest TV deal. Based on when they signed it, it was the largest and the implications of that. Huge different thing.
They made.
But
Wait, I'm just want to. Sorry to interrupt. SEC made a deal with ESPN after the Big Ten made the deal with NBC and CBS. Is that right or wrong? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up, and I wasn't planning on talking about this.
Me
but
neither.
just
Me neither.
ESPN, right? Big Ten signed with Fox in that conglomerate. But basically, what it comes down to is like their brands they're going to protect. And they're saying right now at the start, the SEC, 2 losses, or 1 loss is better than no losses in your conference. So you just expand that to 2 losses is probably better than 1 loss in your conference.
Next year, yeah.
And so that impacts things because people earn money. The FSU and the ACC just lost out on tens of millions of dollars that you get paid out. That goes directly into the SEC pockets, which is ESPN's pockets and Disney's pockets. So that's the implication in all of this. And the Longhorns get money, right? And so it's just kind of all of that. Like I said, I just think they had to piss someone off, and they pissed the easiest group to piss off that they really don't care about and they aren't as brand aware of.
I mean, let's be honest too. The committee got lucky the last 10 years here, with
Yeah, outside
with
of the
how
first year.
everything with that how everything played out. Teams losing when they needed them to lose, etc. This was probably the only year where, and maybe the first year I can't remember, where it like somebody got screwed over, and it was probably the most deserving team got screwed over. But it is what it is.
Outside of the Baylor TCU year, yeah, someone got screwed over. There was also a clip. We'll move on shortly, but I also want to bring this up. Herbie on ESPN before the day that Jordan Travis got injured. He's like, what if they run the table? What if Texas runs the table? What if Alabama runs the table? And he's literally said they're not going to leave the SEC champ out. FSU's out. So it became a cop out. Like there's literally ESPN analysts talking about that even if FSU went undefeated,
Hmm.
there's no way that they're going to make it in
I did see a conspiracy
before
with
the
him.
injury.
I did see a
So
conspiracy with him.
with the helmets.
Yes. We had the same For You page. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
we do. We do, but just overall, um, I'm a little less pissed just because like I realized they had to piss someone off, and that was just the easiest fan base to piss off.
Would Michigan
Um,
have slapped Florida State? Obviously, I know their quarterback's out. Their defense is really good. It might have been an ugly,
yeah, I
low-scoring
mean,
game, but I really don't know.
people thought TCU was going to get killed by Michigan. Michigan was 9-point favorites, and Michigan throws two pick sixes and doesn't turn two red zone drives into a touchdown, and that's
Well,
28 points, and they
and then
lost by six. Right,
and
like
then
anything can
TCU
happen.
gets
That's
slapped by 50.
what Washington was 10-point dogs to Oregon, a team they beat
Yeah.
earlier in the year. That's why rankings and oh well this team, right? And overall, if you look at who the four best teams are, right? They were like, well, we needed the four best teams in. Texas isn't one of the four best teams.
I would probably take
Georgia,
Georgia
it'd
over
probably be
Texas.
Georgia, Bama, Michigan, and OSU. Those would probably be the four best teams. Based on if you
Washington has a
conglomerated.
claim.
Yeah, but if you just looked at all the advanced stats, right? If we're
Yeah.
gonna say, well, on paper, that's who they would be, right? Not any bias to any conference.
Well, Kyle
Um,
McCord's gone, so
well, he wouldn't have probably left if they would have got in, right? It happened
probably
pretty
not.
soon after that. But that's just one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up. They had to make a tough decision for the first time since TCU and Baylor got left out, and
Who got in instead of
they
them that
they
year?
catered to the big Braves. What?
Who
Ohio
got?
State.
Oh, is that when they won with Cardell?
Yeah, that was the first year. It's 2014.
Okay, yeah. And I'm kind of glad State went to the Rose Bowl the year before for the last year of the BCS because that's when bowl games still kind of mattered. I mean, if you know what it's hard to explain. Peak BCS. Peak BCS. Everybody played in bowl games. Obviously, you knew 1 and 2. I feel like everybody really enjoyed the big bowl games. I mean, I remember as a kid watching a lot of bowl games, and now it's just kind of like, I respect the guys not playing. We've seen crazy injuries happen in bowl games the last couple of years now, and you respect the kids or they're grown men playing or not playing and getting paid in the NFL. So it's a lot different now. Probably a lot different too going forward next year, but just the BCS at one point in time was very good, and it's just thinking back on it now that we have a playoff is crazy to think because we all wanted a playoff. Just another thought to throw out there.
Yeah, well, there's way less bowl games too back in the day. Like in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s, I think we're at so many games now, and
Yeah.
it's kind of you're just watching bad football because TV sponsors and all these corporate money guys and all these
Some of these
huge
bowl
dudes,
games are just ridiculous.
they shouldn't exist. Literally, it should be like, hey, we have 20 bowls, and we pick the 40 best teams that we think can be in them, and that's where we go from because it's too ridiculous. Kind of the conditions and everything that they're being put in right now with games and all the money. But that's a discussion for a different time. I am looking at going to the Rose Bowl. I might have jury duty that week.
Fuck it, go.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
once in a
thinking about.
lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I went to the Fiesta Bowl last year and they lost. So that's why I'm a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
hesitant.
true.
But just overall, it's about a 7-hour drive for me.
You
So
should go
I'll
to the
probably
Fiesta Bowl though. If Liberty wins that, that'd be fun.
not going to the Fiesta Bowl. Refuse. I'm gonna
There's no way
enjoy
those tickets are expensive.
any other. No, it's probably like $30, but just don't
Anyway.
deal with that.
Oh,
But
it's on the same
moving on.
day as your game. Fuck it. What am I talking about? Next up, KB, you want to talk about rumors? I'm not sure exactly what they are, but take it away, man.
Yeah, so there's a handful of rumors that I've heard. One of them actually came out about there being like a 32 team split away, 40 team, 50 team. That was kind of announced that the top tier of college football would split away. There was an article, ESPN article about that one. I don't know all the details, but it's pretty interesting in that NIL contracts would be, completely different, and they'd basically all be paying a salary. It was really interesting to kind of look at that might be the future of football and the future of athletics.
Might as well make it a semi-pro fucking league at this point. I mean, it already is, and they
And
should
then-
get paid. So, whatever.
Yeah, and then I also saw a rumor floating around on Twitter, so take that what you will, but this guy was one of the first people to break the UCLA, USC moving to the Big Ten rumors. It sounds like college football and this would be entirely heartbreaking, and I'd have a really hard time following it if this did come true. Kind of praying it doesn't. Would be the semi-pros to NFL. So NFL would adopt teams. You'd take your team. You'd find someone probably in your state close by. So maybe Detroit, Michigan tags along with them. Cleveland, they get OSU. One of the other schools, maybe or Cincinnati gets OSU. Cleveland maybe gets Penn State. I'd assume, and they're basically feeder programs for those teams.
So like
You
minor
can
leagues,
draft
like a
kids out
minor
of high
like a
school.
minor league.
Yeah.
I don't
You
like
can
that at
draft
all.
kids out of high school, and so those kids will go directly into your college football program. Then
Where did you read
there's the
this?
other programs. It was the guy who released the USC. It's on Twitter, so I don't know how
You
true it
gotta
is,
share
but
that with me, man. I gotta read this. This sounds
yeah.
weird.
And this, like I said, this is one of the first people that broke USC, UCLA. This is like early rumblings.
I don't like this at all.
But it's about 32 teams breaking away, partnering up with the NFL to start a minor league system, a farmer system, and then everyone else would just have college football. So outside of those 32 teams, that would be what's left of college football. So
I'm about to get pissed off.
if you don't get drafted to the school, you guys all play and there's a championship, and then you guys can get drafted from there and go to college. I don't know. It obviously not all set in stone, but I did want to bring it up because it's one of the things we've talked about, not in its entirety, but of the two conferences, of the super conferences, of the consolidation, of the focusing, of the monopolistic tendency, and I just can. I'm not anti-capitalist, I swear to you, but can people stop needing to squeeze every ounce of money out of everything they do? Can there be anything where we aren't racing to $1 billion? It's not an enterprise, and all of this is being treated like an enterprise that we need to squeeze and tarnish every tradition, all the soul.
Either
all
way,
the
they would
vibe.
make money. No, either way. Like
Right, but it's not enough. It's never enough.
never enough, KB.
That's
And
the
I'll
thing
never
with these
understand that
people.
mindset. We'll never understand that mindset. I mean, if I got loaded tomorrow, I mean, I might contemplate not going to work, but I wouldn't change as a person. I wouldn't want to get every single last penny. But what you're explaining to me, that's not college football. That is nothing that I like about college football. I like that walk-on kid, Kyler Ellsworth, making a play in the Rose Bowl. I love that. That's gone with what you just told me. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's I don't mind the portal stuff. I think it makes it really interesting. And NIL, these kids should get paid. But you're just explaining to me something that is not college football. College football is so popular. A lot of people thought football might have died with all the concussion stuff. And I tell you what, sometimes I don't understand why guys stayed in. Like when Rodemaker was out last week and he played, he went back into the game and then he didn't play this last weekend. And I thought he had a concussion. I watched his eyes when he got hit, but so I think the college football in general is really getting ahead of concussion stuff, which is good. But back to what we're talking about, this is not college football. This is not like a walk-on making, Jonathan Smith was a walk-on at Oregon State. Now he's a QB whisperer. This takes away all the pageantry, all the tradition, and it's in my opinion kind of a big FU to fans. Obviously, we like the NFL. Don't get me wrong; it's probably the best. That makes the most money of any league in the world, next to maybe some soccer stuff. Don't get me wrong there in Europe, but it just gets me all riled up, and it just makes me want to not even And I love college football. I'm a college football fan. My fandom for state is, probably 7 times more than anything. If you gave 10 points to break down my fandom, state's probably 7 or 8 points for football. And 1 for maybe basketball, and then other things here and there. But it just sounds like a terrible idea, and I hope it's just rumors. And it sounds interesting, and I kind of understand why the NFL might do it because the XFL and all the other AA whatever leagues have kind of been mediocre. But you're taking what's so great about college football and just pissing it away. We already lost to BCS, which was really good. Now these kids are getting paid. It's pretty much free agency, which is weird. But I think it's good because coaches could always do it. But there's just a lot of things going towards just being the NFL, and it's not. It's college fucking football. And that's why we all play NCAA football over Madden, because Madden sucks, etc. So, it just gets me riled up and want to babble about fucking nothing, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But college football is if you get really entrenched in it, it's amazing. People are crazy. It's drama. It's a soap opera. And I fucking love it. But I hope that what you're saying doesn't happen because I think it would be, it would suck to see, you know, teams like Boise would pretty much be irrelevant. Teams like, I don't know, Appalachian State, irrelevant. Um, I
I
mean,
mean, we've already done that though. Like
kind of,
Oregon
yeah.
State and Washington State are now
See you
irrelevant.
later. They got fucked.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like all this big money, all these TV rights deals, like we talked about it earlier in the season. I was like, we're just moving the two teams, and they're gonna hold all the media rights. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what you call that? The NFC and the AFC. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I can only watch one game unless I pay $600 for a season to watch the one team I really want to
Yeah.
watch.
Sunday
And
tickets
I'll
a
have other
joke.
games on, and I have the Thursday game
Red
on right
zone. Red
now.
zone is the best way to watch football.
Yeah,
NFL
but
football.
like because you don't want to watch the rest of the games because it's a controlled,
Yeah.
stagnant, sometimes stinky
Even
affair.
Kirk Herbstreit himself said like during games, like he calls Thursday night. He said I don't know what game it was, but he's like you cannot get this in the NFL. I don't know what game it was, but he made sure to say that on the broadcast.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's not we don't love football because it's the most polished product. We don't love football because there's not blowouts. We love football because it puts something in your mind, or college football. It puts something in your mind that like there's a authenticity to it. Like you come out and you watch something and invent a go-go offense on the fly.
Yep.
You see the zone read pop off. You see the air raid pop off. You see power ISO, and you see all of these amalgamations of things, and it's all the same sport.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of in the NFL, most teams are running very similar styles.
Coast.
Most teams are
Pro.
it's West Coast pro influence. Outside of that, you have air raid tendencies, but it's like there's not the because athletes are so much better because it's a liquidation to like the purest of pure athletes. It's just not there.
Yep.
And we've been seeing the money hungry people go at it year after year. All the bowl games get expanded. Conferences literally dying. Conferences literally getting eaten away. Pac-12, it's the conference of champions. They're the most champions out of any conference in all sports. They dominate all of the Olympic sports. They dominate a billion other sports. And the college football executives, which most of them are TV guys now that are in control of conferences, some of the presidents are TV guys, they're just like, where's the money? Well, what about the tradition? What about your fans?
What about the student athletes that play women's soccer? They got to go from Cal, Stanford to the East Coast now.
Do I give a shit?
Obviously not, because the decision's made.
From poli-sci class that's going to get her degree and not earn any money from my university does that. And I'm not
Obviously
trying,
not.
I mean, you can look at a lot of other sports and men's sports. I was just using poly as an example. As another example of, women not getting chances in sports, you're literally going to have women athletes who have a higher degree of injury, have a higher degree of fatigue, put at a worse situation. It's going to be interesting to see
Imagine
people.
baseball guys traveling on a East Coast, West Coast to East Coast swing, and vice versa for those teams. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. And I saw some TikToks about I think it was a Nebraska soccer or softball in their trips out just to the East Coast, and like even that was crazy. And that's Nebraska to Maryland. Now we're gonna go from Stanford and Cal to Clemson to
Syracuse.
NC State to it's just crazy. And I don't know if it's going to work in the long run. I kind of hope we, take a step back down the road and we go more regional, which I think is by far the best for college football in sports in general, for travel expenses in all these other sports that don't make a lot of money like football and basketball, because they deserve some respect too. I mean, they're still high-level athletes. Stanford's amazing at pretty much every other sport, and now they got to travel across the entire country to play. It's just crazy to think, and it's because money. It's just straight. It comes to money.
I just don't know why the NCAA doesn't step in and be like, look, you can do this for football.
They don't do anything.
When you play one game a year and you can fly there and maybe you limit East Coast travel time. But the other sports, I just don't. What are we doing?
They're fucked.
It's so bad. And it's like, that's not like college football obviously is king. And a lot of universities it runs it. But now Duke is going to have to go to, goddamn Stanford on like a Thursday night, and it's gonna sell 85 tickets, maybe. Because who's gonna watch that on the East Coast? The game's gonna start at 11 o'clock East
It's got to
Coast.
be like a 8:30 kick. It has to be.
It's so bad, and I think that this could actually be an opportunity with how much and we can move on because I know we've been kind
We've
of
been we're going.
yeah
This is fine, Q. This is a
we've
great
gone off the
conversation.
rails,
This
but
is it's ridiculous. It's money. I really hope we go back to regional, man, because the Big Ten commercial is forever gone. Now you know what I'm talking about, where all the stadiums and stuff
yeah.
pop up. That's going to be probably gone or remade. And I mean, for fuck's sake, they had to remake the schedule too after they released it like a month or two before.
Because
So
they added teams
they had
and
it.
others that changed,
Yeah, it's
and
just nuts, man.
yeah. And the last thing I wanted to say too was, um, we know athletic departments are, doing well, but not all of them are.
No, correct.
And this is going to increase the expenditures on a lot of them. I mean, and there's athletic departments that have started NIL programs that have gone bankrupt and have shut
Is
down.
Arizona fucked or what? Do we know? I haven't heard
Yeah,
anything.
like Arizona has a $220 million. Oh, I don't
They
know. The
run out of
money went
money in probably
somewhere.
a month. So
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
like, there's a whole thing about it, and you know, that's not what these sports should be. College football has launch padded itself into a different stratosphere of money making because of TV rights. And I think it's time the NCAA just declares that. Look, be it in whatever conference you want. We're sanctioning these schools are in this conference, these schools are in this conference. You can compete on whatever athletic field you want. You can compete however you want, but you have to set up at least
Or
this
you
games
could
and
just
crown a
make
champion.
regions. You could just like say
Yeah,
screw
Pacific
conferences and just make
Northwest.
a region. North, New England. You could make Southeast. You could make whatever you want to call the Eastern Seaboard, Midwest, whatever you want to call Texas,
Plains.
Plains,
Oh,
Southwest, West Coast, Pacific North. You could make regions, and it could work. You could do a relegation system. There's so many options here, and we're just going to, making the biggest buck, and it really sucks. Any other thoughts, KB? I know we're all over the place, but this is a good conversation. This is the future, 5 or 10 years. Who knows if something goes back or changes or goes to what you're talking to with the feeder teams, which I hope never fucking happens. It literally pissed me off when you were when you like
that was
explaining
the
it.
first time we heard it too, so it was
Yeah,
a raw reaction.
it was getting me riled up.
Yeah, but we can move on. Transfer portal talk.
Yes, please. 1,100 players have entered in the portal. Absolutely
Crazy.
crazy. I got a list of big names. I'm just going to list them. It's a lot of quarterbacks. The number one guy right now is Walter Nolen. Nolan from
Nolan.
A&M. He is a D lineman, but he entered in early this week. But I'm just going to list off a bunch of names. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of big names. Kyle McCord, OSU quarterback. I saw some stuff. He might go to Miami. Julian Fleming, wide receiver, OSU, highly touted, highly touted. Aiden Childs from Oregon State, he's visiting Michigan State tomorrow. He's the second-rated portal guy right now. Dante Moore might go to Michigan. Cameron Ward probably going to OSU. DeQuan Finn, Toledo, interesting.
Toledo guy.
Um, Will Howard might go from Kansas State, might go to USC. Riley Leonard has already gone, is crystal balled to Notre Dame. Dylan Gabriel has been talked to by a handful of schools. Will Rogers, Mississippi State QB, probably going to Washington. Tyler Van Dyke, Miami quarterback, who knows? What is this one? DJ Uleye, Florida State, maybe quarterback, Oregon State. Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina. He did this last year and he stayed at Coastal. Kind of curious to see where he goes. Sounds like UCF's talking to him. A big safety, Makuba, I think, from Clemson. Burks is a big name from Purdue. He's a receiver. Sorsby from Indiana. We talked about kind of during the Michigan State game. He's committed to Cincinnati. Sam Levitt's been talked to. Michigan State's a quarterback by a handful of teams. I don't know how to say his name, KB. The Texas Tech quarterback, whatever.
Oh, shout.
Shout. He went from Oregon to Texas Tech and now to Louisville. So Brom got supposedly his guy. Max Johnson from A&M is going to North Carolina.
Can we
Um,
time out for 1 second, Dave?
no,
That is his.
that's the last one. Ready?
Oh, perfect. That's shout or stout or whatever it is. I have to hear.
He's
someone
like
say it again.
28.
Yeah, this is his 7th year of college football.
There's gonna be a lot of that.
Say NCAA, just say no, you're done, dude. Go put your 401k, start depositing money. You're missing out early. Like, brother, I
IRAs,
get it.
Roth
Like, how many
IRAs
more
better.
degrees can you earn?
Um,
Or have you
so
even
how
earned
do
a
you
degree
get?
yet?
Okay, question. This is a question I asked the group chat, never got an answer from. How do you get a seventh year? So that's a red shirt, a COVID. You're 4 years, so that's 6. Is this a medical
Yeah,
red
and then you
shirt
get
in
an
there
injury.
too?
He had it. Yeah, he had
So
an
a medical
injury.
red shirt as well would be
Um,
7.
I think last year. I think last year at Tech he
So
played one game,
you're throwing in
exploded his knee.
a medical or actual red shirt, a COVID year plus 4 gives you
Plus
7.
4.
Holy fuck,
Yeah.
dude! If I was in college for 7 years, I don't even know what
You
classes.
become a
I don't
doctor.
know what
That's
classes
what
I'd
you
be
do.
taking.
You become a doctor,
Go to
Dave.
Duke or fucking Stanford and get your
Yeah,
MBA or
get
something.
your masters.
Jesus,
Yeah. Gabriel too. So this is something that
this is his second transfer.
everyone's like, why did McCord enter the portal? Well, because they want someone else.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't like what
straight
they
up told
had.
him that he was not going to be the starting quarterback or that he would have to
You
compete.
have to compete again. And that wasn't their problem, in all honesty. I mean, I know he didn't play lights out. I know he wasn't a first round
He did
caliber,
not make a
which
lot
was
of
an
mistakes though.
expectation. But he wasn't a bad quarterback. I
No,
mean, I get why, because they want a higher ceiling guy. But he was definitely a low floor guy. Overall, I think we also kind of saw that with Dylan Gabriel. Oklahoma has the number 2 quarterback
they
recruit
pretty
that was
much
a
told him
freshman
that
this year.
he's going to
And
play
I
in the
think
bowl
that
game.
Yeah, and I think they kind of told him, and we saw this last year with Oklahoma. They got Gabriel early,
Yep.
and I think he was able to play in the bowl game, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he might have. Yeah, he had some weird stuff going on because he left UCF at a weird time. I think.
Yeah, but anyway, that's the guy. I think Jackson Arnold is his name. I'm like
Yeah, I think you're right.
98% sure. And he's like they want to plan for the future with him. They want to win games with him now. They're joining the SEC. So sometimes you have to look at it two ways. Sometimes it's people testing the transfer portal market to see if they can, sign a huge NIL deal or maybe just get more playing time. But also some of it is people forcing them out. We saw some guys that
Absolutely
were
happens.
coming from Colorado. They went on. I can't remember. I can't
Think
remember
about
his
it,
name.
KB. But like, obviously Dion made this public and he said it. Like, I'm bringing Louis with me.
Mm-hmm.
But don't think that these coaches are not having these conversations with these kids behind closed doors because they all are. Ryan Day
Yeah.
sat down with McCord and said, we want you to be here. We want you to be the quarterback. But you're going to have to compete for that position. And that's why he left.
And
And
we're going shopping. And it's not like you're going to have to compete with who's here.
Cam Ward.
We're going into the portal to find a quarterback to compete with you with.
And we lost because I have a small dick, pretty much, Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Crying Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even
And Ryan.
and I wanted
Third base
I
Ryan
wanted them
Day.
to win too, but like don't
Born on third
obvi-
Ryan Day.
yeah, don't forget. Obviously Dion made this public, but don't think for 2 seconds that these coaches are not telling kids to
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen. We're going to look for our guy, or you should just go in the portal because you'll probably get an opportunity at a MAC school or a Sun Belt school, or I'm kind of curious where like Noah Kim goes, or I forgot to bring up too. This is in my head. Darius Snow is staying at Michigan State. Good for him. I think he was over the coaching staff. He had a really bad leg injury 2 years ago with friendly fire from Chester Kimbrough. So I hope he plays for us, and it sounds like he has a good camaraderie already with the new coaching staff. So I just want to bring that up as well.
Yeah, and the last thing too, I hope anyone who transfers. I mean, it's a very testy time out in there. I hope you guys all find all of your places. I'm sure most of them. I mean,
The UTSA edge guy already went to Texas. That's good for him.
yeah, there's a lot of things, and I hope that the guys who transfer that they get real opportunities. Sometimes we see people take transfers just to add depth and maybe even lie to the kids like, hey, yeah, you're gonna play here.
Anthony Russo.
And then you come here and you don't even get an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And that sucks for a lot of those kids, especially if it's their very last year. I mean, maybe if they have 2 years, they could maybe re-enter the portal as a graduate. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then,
But then you get guys like Kenneth Walker too. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
and then the last thing I want to say, and we can wrap this up unless you have more to say, Dave. But it's so amazing how these people know where they're planning on going.
Tampering.
It's just amazing, right? Like, let's worry
Like,
about all these other
unless
things.
you're a
but
grad, you should not
let's-
know.
Yeah. Even if you're a grad, you still can't have communication until you enter the portal officially.
How do
right?
you police that? Well,
Well,
grads
you do
could do it.
investigations. When someone gets crystal balled before he enters the portal and says, "Hey, no contact," and crystal balled in the same moment, how did they find out that they knew where he's going? Oh, so the reporters knew. Like NCAA, just like shouldn't that raise a red flag? Like let's have some. Because here's the thing: you can have a billion laws, but if you don't enforce them, you don't have any laws. That's why shit's so confusing in the NCAA,
Anarchy.
because they have a billion laws and 600 pages of shit to follow, and they enforce like 7 pages all on different sections of the rule book. And so that's why it becomes confusing, because it's like you don't apply consistently. You don't even enforce stuff consistently, and that's kind of something to look forward to because like Minnesota coach PJ Fleck said, he's like, look, we're going to have people calling our players. We need to fund NIL if we want to keep this young sophomore, this young freshman, this young guy.
I think they
We're
got a
going to have to
quarterback
put.
from like New Hampshire or something.
I love
I
it,
was
but
looking at the list earlier this week.
yeah, but they have a bunch of guys that are like, if you want this player here next year, you're going to have to fork over NIL money. But God, it's just such a weird time. There's so much more to talk about, and does make it pretty interesting because it's the Wild Wild West. Um,
It is. It really is.
Michigan hasn't had anyone that has entered the portal, which I think is
Really?
cool.
Not
Yeah,
one.
not a single one. Them and Washington. Neither of them have anyone who've entered the portal. I think they're the only two teams in
I
all of
mean, they're still
college football.
playing too, so
Yeah, I mean, but Texas has a few, Bama has a two, but Bama's usually a depth problem. But I'm sure people
yeah.
will enter the portal after the first game, right? And I'm sure they're already talking with coaches. Someone brought that up. Someone's like, teams still in the college football playoff or teams that can't, technically enter because maybe they have to, play backup snaps. Maybe they're the backup guy on the, offensive line or the backup D tackle, and they have a guy who's a junior in front of them who won't go to the draft. They're talking to people and they're like, hey, as soon as this game's over, as soon as I play and I'm done with the season, because that'd be shitty to leave your coach to, hung out dry. That's what they do, right? Enter the portal and already have everything kind of hooked up, and so that's also why you may not see a ton of portal movement until time runs out. But
I mean, a lot of coaches just
and
get up
after
and leave
spring,
too, so do what you
yeah,
got
I
to
mean
do.
it's well, if you still have snaps to play, you're gonna have snaps to
Yeah, yeah,
play.
yeah.
Because
Of
if the guy
course.
gets injured in front of you and you ball out, I mean, maybe all that changes. Or maybe you have a hell of a game and you raise your draft stock and other bigger names call, right? So that's always something. If you have more games left, you can still put more time on film. More people can call you.
Yeah.
So that's something to also consider.
Yeah, guys are also declaring for the draft, and I know. Before we jump into the Heisman talk here, KB, I know Harrison Jr. is looking at staying. And I saw some stuff on Twitter with you and somebody else. I know you were kind of subtweeting somebody. He should go to the NFL and get paid. Obviously, I understand why you would want to stay, beat Michigan. Obviously, it's probably on his mind, and go to a national championship. And obviously, he'll probably get paid decent NIL money, probably six figures, close to a million, which is fair. But like, you're gonna get paid 15 to 20 mil in the NFL, and you're gonna be a face of a franchise. So you might as well do that. That's one man's opinion. I respect his thought process. I'm probably staying at Ohio State because I might be the same way if I'm a crazy athlete at Michigan State and we just got smoked by Michigan. I want to stay and prove them wrong, but at the same time, you could set up your family for generations. So obviously, his dad was an NFL legend as well, so maybe that doesn't matter
Yeah,
as much to him.
yeah. The money thing, I didn't have a problem. I mean, I would understand. I mean, he doesn't. His father, like you said, was an NFL legend. The thing that bothered me about that post, and if they stayed, I saw it also about Travion Henderson that he's allegedly going to stay
Mm.
another year. But they said, yeah, we're going to, make an offer that rivals an NFL contract in
Absolutely no way.
And I was like, he's going to go in the top five. Top five will make about $9 million a year. But they also sign for $20+ million.
Yeah, no
The
way.
signing bonus is going to be $20 million, and he's going to make $9 that first year. And he's going to be able to get more in sponsorships. He's going to get a Nike deal. He's going to get Adidas deal or Louis Vuitton deal that he already partially has, but maybe not on the same platform.
Yeah.
Like he's going to make $50 million. Maybe not that many, but at least $30 million next year as soon as he signs his name. You're not competing with that. Travion Henderson now, who will probably go in the third round and probably earn somewhere in the $1 million range and sign on for $500,000 or maybe around $1 million. Yeah, you can compete. What's the difference between staying in school for an extra year
Getting hurt.
and earning about a 1.5 million versus going to the NFL and earning 2.2. Maybe
Running backs
$700,000
are
moves a digit, but that's
running backs
something
are
we're going to
different.
see
Yeah.
in these players that are going to get a day 3 grade where you're somewhere between 4th and 6th round, 4th and those later rounds. Those are the guys we're going to see coming back. Not the first 2 round guys, most likely. Maybe third rounders to improve their draft stock for a little bit, but a lot of the time, and Ohio State just simply doesn't have that culture. They produce NFL draft picks guys leave early. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba played 5 snaps in 2022 and left because he wanted to start his pro career.
Yeah.
And you've seen everyone kind of do that. Stroud went 0 for 2 in his career against Michigan, left. That's kind of like not in their nature,
Probably
which
NFL Rookie of the Year.
is
Probably.
yeah, he could win
He's been
MVP
doing
too.
really good.
I'm yeah, I'm not trying to slander him, but that's just something to also kind of look at is NFL money is still different, and you get way more money in advertising, and you can officially hire an agent that can,
Yeah.
look over that in a much more serious way. So that's something to kind of think about. It's not just, well, he makes $5 million this first year. Yeah, well, let's add 20 and then add another 10 in endorsements or 5 in endorsements. So
Yeah.
something to kind of
There's
think
another
about.
conversation to think about when people are declaring and transferring and staying. There's just a lot going on, and it's crazy. It's a soap opera, and we love it. That's why we're just chit chatting about it for fucking 20 minutes. But let's jump into our last thing of the day here. That's gonna be Heisman talk. The four guys that are gonna be at the ceremony are Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., as we just spoke about, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix. I think Daniels wins this by a mile, unless you're an idiot. Um, I mean, obviously, I still play college football games, and looking at the voting, I think how Heisman voting works is like you vote first, second, third, fourth. If you
Hmm.
don't put him first, just you don't deserve a vote. You don't watch, you don't understand. Like, he is their offense, he is their team, and he's in these games because he's a quarterback. If LSU didn't have him, man, I don't know what their record is. So, if you don't vote him first, you don't deserve a vote. Me and KB deserve a vote over you because we actually, even though we can't watch every game, we watch highlights, we talk about it, and these guys just work for the AP Press in Tallahassee, Florida, and I didn't watch the game, so I'm gonna vote for some. I don't know, Penix or Nix because I see his name. It's just ridiculous. I gotta go on a little tangent about it, KB, because I know you feel the same way. And most of these guys, I think, except for Harrison, are also up for the Maxwell Award. Pretty much, if you win the Maxwell Award, you win the Heisman, and vice versa. From in my mindset, most of the time.
Yeah, like you said, you broke that down really well. I could see if someone goes for Michael Penix, I could just see if you give him a first place vote, like if he didn't play lights out, his offense and his team struggled. But
True,
overall, Daniels should run away with this one. I just don't think it'll be like a clean sweep of all the first place votes. It never is.
true.
The voting is always super regional.
Yeah,
Um, so you can also see a situation where Penix and Bo Nix take, votes away from each other. You have people are in, Pacific Northwest that split between who should be one, who should be two, and kind of,
how would you?
slice some of their votes up.
What would your votes be for second, third, fourth? And I'll tell you mine.
Second, third,
Or
fourth. So I'd
yeah.
go Penix, Harrison, Nix.
Wow, I'm probably flipped. I'll probably go Bo, Penix, Harrison.
Why Bo? Bo didn't make passes all year that I was super wowed against good competition. Penix fought through injuries, still put up great numbers.
True.
They went head to head twice. He
He,
diced them,
yeah, that's true.
and
Maybe
I
I
think the
should
thing
flip
with
him. Maybe it
yeah,
does
I mean,
make
I'm
your
not trying to
points are
convince
valid.
you, but
I just don't know how well Oregon does without. I mean, obviously they'd probably
I
do
think
okay
they do
without Bo.
fine.
I think he did enough to win those games too. He was right there both games, so maybe Penix should get the. Maybe I'm biased and wrong because I thought Penix was a little overrated. I mean, obviously he's a really good quarterback, but maybe they're both overrated. Maybe
Yeah,
Penix by like a nose. Then um, I think I just like what Bo did, and he just can get that big win. So yeah, maybe it should be Penix, Bo, and Harrison. As much as I would love for this not to be a quarterback award anymore, who was the last non-quarterback to win the award? Is really honest because I just think about that because I just watched the Barry Sanders
it was
doc.
Devonta Smith.
Correct. I just watched the Barry Sanders doc on Amazon. Very good. I recommend everybody watch it. But he was like, not a big school, and he was just amazing. So I'd love to see that happen again because it's like a quarterback award, pretty much. But yeah, I think you're right, KB. I'll probably switch my vote then to Daniels, Penix, Bo, Harrison. As much as I would like to put Bo up high or Harrison higher because I like having a non-quarterback there, like K9 and Hutchinson. I thought those guys probably could have got more votes too, but it is what it
I
is.
think they split their votes along with Stroud. That was a really weird year where the Big Ten had, they
Who
should
won
have
it that
had
year? I'm blanking.
a Pickett. No.
Is that
Who won
21?
it that year? I honestly can't remember. Yeah, I think this is a QB award, and I know
Bryce
people
Young.
are like, "Oh, Young,
And then
that's right."
Hayden, Hayden got second, which is nutsos, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was also just like vibes, and that's something that I kind of want to reinstill in this award. It should be like the vibes of how important they are. I think the award has been distilled down to: Are you a quarterback? Yes. Did you put up big numbers? Yes. All right, you're in the top three. All right, are you a quarterback? Yes. Are you playing on one of the best teams in the country? Yes. All right, you're in. Like
Yeah.
that's what the award has been distilled down to, unless someone has like um an otherworldly performance. I think Ollie Gordon should have been invited. He had 1,600 yards, 20 TDs, added 326 through the air. He almost had 2,000 yards from the line of scrimmage, and he's not even getting considerations. I think he was the complete and utter
He's
turnaround of
probably
this
going to be
Oklahoma
like
State team.
6th or
And
7th,
yeah, and
probably.
like no one gives a shit because the award should be like, God, you are a great player. Like you are the best of college football has to offer. Here's an invite. And that's what the award should be, right? It shouldn't be, well, quarterbacks have to win it. These quarterback stat lines aren't unbelievable, right? Like, I get when, like, Joe Burrow puts up 5,000, like, lights it up, like, has one of the best passing seasons ever, and you're like, yeah, he runs away with it. Or you have Bryce Young who throws for, like, 46 touchdowns. But sometimes the award is just like, oh, well, you're just, like, a quarterback who put up pretty good numbers. And I feel like the voters who are probably 70 and have a giant back scratcher because they have that 1 inch a little too far down because their back doesn't move quite as they used to, that they're still reaching for. But those guys are like, back in my day, 2,600 yards was great passing yardage. It's inconceivable that they threw for 4,000. What are these? He's the Joe Montana. Like that's the. I feel like the ideology that we're dealing with is like throwing for 3,500 yards and 65% completion percentage isn't otherworldly unless you're running for 1 billion yards like Daniels has.
Yeah.
That's why he should win, right? If he only had his quarterback stats, I'd be like, it's not that impressive. College
He is their
quarterbacks should,
offense. Like,
yeah,
that's the
college
difference.
quarterbacks should throw for around 3,000 yards, complete around 67% of their passes, and have like 25 TDs if they're throwing it at all, right? That's why like Michigan is like JJ doesn't throw the ball. He had 60 less attempts this year than last year.
Yeah.
So everyone's like freaking out about all that, not to get on JJ, but he was in the running for a little bit just because his completion percentage was so high. But it's so easy to play quarterback now that old geezers who still think a 5 yard out to the field is a super difficult throw that no one in the world can make when there's 12 quarterbacks about to go to the draft that can make it. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And they don't watch Ollie Gordon break 6 tackles in the backfield and then run in a touchdown against his rival, right? Well, I saw Barry do that, and that isn't that
Barry, I
impressive.
just said it. Barry was on a team that wasn't a big name. Even Troy Aikman said it, like during the documentary. If you watch it, like he was in, I'm in L.A. with all the glitz and glam and the cameras on me, and a player like Barry who had like, I don't know how many touchdowns he had as a running back. I think like 37.
I'll look it up,
He had
but keep talking.
just like it's like this conversation is bringing me back to Kenneth Walker. I know we brought him up a lot this year, and you know he's a legend. Let's be
Only
honest.
positive aspect to look at
He
is
was
that
the
he's
only
there.
reason why we won 10 or 11 games that year. Like if we don't have him, our play action doesn't work, the flea flicker doesn't work, Peyton Thorne doesn't look as good as he does. Like Kenneth Walker was the catalyst for that team. He should have been top 3 Heisman. Like if you argue that, you don't watch college football. And obviously I'm a homer, I'm biased, but like we were good and we were that good because of Kenneth Walker. And obviously our defense made plays when they had to, but like if you watch the games back, obviously he didn't play against Ohio State. We got hurt, ran through. He was hurt. He didn't play a lot in a couple other games here and there, but like he single-handedly like gave us a juice against Rutgers. He just
He beat Michigan.
he beat Michigan. He had 5 touchdowns. The Miami game, he was just everywhere. The Penn State game, etc. So like players like him, players like Ollie Gordon, running backs, they deserve to be there. They are the workhorses of the team. If you have an offense around a really good player, running back, or even Harrison in this situation, they deserve to be there. And obviously, I know recency bias is big. With Hutchinson that year in 21, he had a hell of a game against OSU. I don't know how he fixes voting or how he fix it, but it's a quarterback
Yeah.
award and it's a popularity award, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that Kenny Pickett was invited there, not Kenneth Walker, and everyone got mad at Aiden, even though Aiden finished second. Like, you guys should have been mad at Stroud and Pickett for being up on that podium.
Yeah,
That's my opinion on that. I definitely think he should have been invited. State fans' reason to hate Aiden Hutchinson is understandable.
he's a line
Um,
now. It's fine.
yeah, but I agree. And just to go back to your Barry Sanders, he had 2,600 yards and 37 rushing
That's
touchdowns on the
nutty,
year.
dude. I know it's a
Uh,
different game now, but damn,
yeah. I mean, Corum was great, and he had 22 this year. Like
37
they got
as a running back.
37.
He was the team.
Yeah, and I just think like we have to reevaluate. Like the winner, the person that wins the rushing award should just like immediately get invited. Like
Yeah, the
the
Doak
person that wins
Walker
the
when
best
Kenneth
running
Walker
back.
didn't go was like the first time in a long time. They didn't go
Yeah,
unless it's a different. I know Ali Gordon.
no, it's two awards because he won the Maxwell and Doak. I think it's if you win right. I think it's not just one because I
K9
mean
won the
running backs
Maxwell.
haven't. I th- Maybe I don't know. You'd have to. It's not just the Doak Award because like running backs haven't been invited in the last few um, ones. I think last year as well, right? But anyway, it's just one of these awards that has kind of lost its vibe.
Yeah,
I think we went through the phase where like Lamar was like, "Oh my lord," and then we had Johnny that was like, "Oh my lord," and then you look at the people who've won it, and it's just quarterbacks that play in air raid offenses and conferences that play no defense for the most part, right? Like Caleb Williams last year. Like Pac-12 ain't the best defensive conference.
yeah,
Oh, what system is he in? Oh, with Lincoln Riley in the air raid. Oh, Baker. Oh, Kyler. Right?
yeah,
Bryce Young at least won it in like a difficult conference, but those some of those other ones, it's like, yeah, they're gonna put up huge numbers. But like if you just look at stat lines instead of they threw 6 balls to guys with 8 feet around them instead of like, well, is he actually playing great quarterback? Not to take away from them, and I think they should have won it. But like they get so overwhelmed by just staring at numbers because they don't give a shit and they're so locked in. But
yeah.
it's still a cool award. I'm still gonna watch the ceremony.
Yep.
But just absolutely craziness going on over
Yeah.
there. But Dave, anything else you have to say?
Yeah, I know you brought up Ali Gordon. I just want to bring up the Doak Walker just because I respect running backs a lot. The three guys that are going to be there, Ali Gordon, as you said, Cody Schrader from Mizzou. I think he's got a really cool story if you want to look him up. And then Hampton from UNC. Three guys that are kind of snubs in my opinion are Vidal from Troy, Boone from Toledo, and then Brooks. Brooks, where's he from again? Is that the Texas guy?
Yeah.
All over 1,400 yards, and Brooks is a game or two short. Um, if it's me voting, and I know Ali Gordon was huge, I kind of give the edge to Schrader here, just because I know his style, I know his story, and I would definitely have a pick in between him and Ali Gordon. I like the Doak Walker. I think the running back position is very well, not as popular as it should be. I know it's different now in the NFL. It's a quarterback league the last 10 or 20 years, but I just want to highlight these guys. They're all great. All six names I said are really good running backs, and the Cody Schrader story is awesome, so I'd probably give my vote to him. Ali Gordon a very close second if you want to have any other thoughts on the Doak Walker KB.
Yeah, I was just gonna follow up with Schrader's stat line down the stretch. Last 5 games, South Carolina 159 yards, Georgia 112 yards, Tennessee had 205 on the ground, 116 receiving. He had 148 against Florida and then 217 against Arkansas. So incredibly,
Wasn't he like a
impressive.
walk-on, or he had to go
Yeah,
somewhere else and transfer?
he transferred in as a walk on. Like absolutely incredible story. Shout out to him. And
This is
everything
why
that
we
he
love
did.
college football, and this would
Yeah,
not be
yeah,
here what you said earlier. So
yeah,
like, I didn't even think about that, but like, I just had an epiphany, and like that, I had to say it. Like this would not happen with this new shit. So like, this is
yeah,
why we
yeah.
love. This is why we love it.
Yeah. People peak at different times in their career, and that's kind of an example of the guy who's just a dog and finally got his opportunity and has played incredibly well. Just overall, I'm super excited for the rest of this football season. Just to kind of preview, we are going to do a college football pick'em, Dave versus me.
Should be fun.
I think we're going to put all of that in because I think games start next week.
Probably do it next. Probably do it our next pod.
Yeah, next
And
Monday.
I don't think we take a lot of time on every game, KB. Maybe 2-3 minutes per. Make our
Yeah.
picks. It'll be straight pick 'em. No money. No spread.
Confidence, no, yeah.
Yeah, I hate that.
No
I hate that. I hate
confidence.
that. Give me
Yeah.
straight picks. I don't know if we're gonna use the college football mania or I just write it down, put it in a spreadsheet. But we'll figure it out. Winner takes $100 from the other person.
Yeah, and overall, I think this is going to be fun. Something too that I kind of wanted to bring up is that um, we are going to be following some of the bowl games, but we're not going to be previewing some of the really crummy ones. We're going to be talking about other things that are kind of going on. We will talk about them, but we're not going to go in depth with all these games. We always picked a few key games, and as that time comes around, we'll do that. I think we could spend multiple episodes, 40 minutes talking about just Michigan and Alabama, and some
Yeah.
of the bigger bowl games, and really dive deep into that. So
State
that's what we're
getting
gonna.
Michigan State getting their quarterback. That's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and the fun thing too is like MSU. Everyone that they've added to their staff are all previous Oregon State staff
We're
members.
waiting on the
So they
D coordinator. That's the big one.
Yeah, they took basically everyone from there, waiting on the DC, waiting on a few other things, but there's going to be a lot of info to talk about, and we'll bring up bowl game scores, and say how we did them. Something we also want to do is the preseason preview that we made and kind of our hot
Yeah, we
takes.
got to talk about that.
I
Keep
want
on
to do that.
forgetting.
Yeah, but overall, I appreciate everyone for listening, and keep tuning in as we get our season winds down
Mm.
for a few weeks, and then it winds back up as we get to the the fun bowl games, the playoffs. I'm so happy for Michigan. I just
Fuck off.
3 years in a row. I'm living the best life right now. I'm living in the good days
Good
right
luck next
now.
year.
I hope it never runs out, but we'll see depending on what sanctions come down and what all
Oh yeah, don't forget.
befalls what all befalls the program following the Unsatis decision.
Sounds like Harbaugh's getting an extension, but I don't give a fuck. I think he's a goofy dude. Good coach, goofy dude. Go green.
Go blue, baby.
All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you later this weekend.